Yes, dear students, here we are going to learn about the figure of speech named simile. For example, in the first unit poem, you learned about the rhyming words. I hope you remember the rhyming words. If we pronounce it aloud, then it will give the same sound, that is called rhyming words. Yes, here we are going to learn a new term called simile. Simile is a figure of speech in which two unlike things are compared using the words like or as. That is, two unlike things are compared using the words like or as is known as simile. For example, see the first line of the poem. Having a friend is like planting a flower. In this poetic line, the poets compared two unlike things, that is having a friend and planting a flower. And also they used the word like. So the two unlike things, having a friend is compared with planting a flower. The poets used the word like. So, the figure of speech used in this line is simile. They will give you a poetic line and you may ask that what is the figure of speech mentioned in this poetic line. That is, you are asked to identify the figure of speech given in the poetic line. They will give you the poetic lines. And what you have to do is, if the poetic line have the word like, then you have to answer that the poetic line have the figure of speech simile. Otherwise, simile is the figure of speech mentioned in the poetic line. Is here in the first stanza. The first line, as I told you, having a friend is like planting a flower. Here the poet used the word like to compare two unlike things. That is, having a friend is compared with planting a flower, and also a word like is used in this poetic line. So, the figure of speech mentioned in this poetic line is simile. And then, see the second poetic line and the fourth one. You can see the two words bloom, room, and these are the rhyming words. So, in the first stanza, we have the rhyming words bloom and room. It's here in the third stanza. You can see the words sad and bad. Yes, these two are the rhyming words. Yes, now in this poem we have two rhyming words. That is, in the first stanza we have bloom and room. And in the third stanza, sad and bad. And also an additional figure of speech is given in the first line, first poetic line, and that is simile. Yes, let us recall the figures of speech. In the first line, the figure of speech given is simile, because the poetic line have the word like and the poet compared two unlike things, having a friend and planting a flower using the word like. So it is simile. And then the rhyming words. In the first stanza, the rhyming words are bloom, room. And And in the third stanza, the rhyming words are sad, bad. Yes, now let us recall the poem. What is planting a flower is compared to? Planting a flower is compared to having a friend. In the first poetic line itself, it is given that having a friend is like planting a flower. So, the answer for the first question is planting a flower is compared to having a friend. Then the second one, what does the tiniest creature need? Yes, the tiniest, that is a small animal. Even the small animal needs space on earth to live. What does the tiniest creature need? The tiniest creature needs space on earth to live. The third one, what do the smallest gifts deserve? Yes, the smallest gifts deserve thank you. They expected thank you, a word thank you from us. So we have to say thank you after we get the smallest gift. What will happen if you fail to give importance to others? What will happen if you fail to give importance to others? Is what happen? If we fail to give importance to others, they will fail to give importance to us. Then the fifth one, what do you learn from your lessons in life? Is what do we learn? Lessons in life are not so simple. Nothing comes to us free of cost. And even for a small gift, we should say thank you. And then pick and write the rhyming words from the third stanza. As I told you, the rhyming words in the third stanza is sad and bad. Then see the seventh question. Here a poetic line is given as a question, and here there is something missing, that is they will ask that what is the figure of speech mentioned in the poetic line. So what is the figure of speech? Yes, the figure of speech used in this line is simile. We studied that as a new term. So, having a friend is like. Here, the poets used the word like to compare two unlike things. So, the figure of speech used in this line is simile. Yes, dear students, I hope you can understood the poem and also the figures of speech. As it is the memory poem, you have to memorize the 4 stanzas. And as I told you, the second stanza is repeated again as the fourth one. So, here you are going to study or memorize just the first 3 stanzas. Yes, thank you students. Let us continue in our next class.